Ancient Greek art and architecture were heavily influenced by their mythology. Many pieces were modeled after or dedicated to their gods. This video will focus mainly on metopes found inside the Temple of Zeus and how mythology impacted art at the time. Before we delve into this period of art and architecture, it is important to understand certain key terms. These terms will help explain the architectural elements of Greek temples. Firstly, an antes is a slightly protruding column at the end of a wall, made by thickening the wall or attaching a separate strip. Cellas were a windowless rectangular room with an entrance behind the front of a facade. Pediments are a triangular-shaped gable at the end of a roof slope. Porticos are a colonnaded porch that lead to the entrance of a building. The pronaos is the outside of a Greek temple that forms a portico in front of the cella. The opisthedomos can be seen as either the back room of a temple or the inner shrine. And finally, metopes are a decorative square-shaped panel in between the columns and pediment. Metopes were present in many different temples. The ones off to the side often depicted the acts of heroes, usually aided by different gods. The composition of the metopes also usually depicted heroic acts like slaying beasts and saving women. However, the heroic metopes are highlighted in the Temple of Zeus instead of ones depicting deities. The Temple of Zeus of Olympia was considered to be the first monument of classical art and architecture. It was also where the Olympic Games were located. Even though the Olympian temple is currently in ruins, the temple at Paestum was modeled after it, so we can get a good idea of what it once looked like. The Paestum temple was said to be either the second temple on site for the goddess Hera or a shrine to the god Apollo. However, the temple pales in comparison to the Temple of Zeus. While it mirrored the Olympian design, it did not use the same pedimental sculpture. Both of these temples were influenced by the architecture of the Temple of Aphaea at Aegina. They both had an even number of 6 columns on each end of the cella. They also both had 2 columns in the antes and 2 rows of columns in 2 stories of the cella. However, in comparison to the Temple of Aphaea, the Temple of Zeus was decorated in a more ornate fashion. Statues, metopes, and narrative reliefs filled the temple. The Temple of Zeus houses 12 metopes that depict the 12 labors of the hero Heracles, who founded the Olympic Games. Before we discuss the mythological elements of the metopes, it is important to know who the Greek deities are. The chief deity, Zeus, was the god of the sky and weather. Hera, Zeus's wife, was the goddess of marriage, family, and childbirth. Apollo was the god of healing, truth, and prophecy. The Titan Atlas was the leader of the Titans against Zeus. After they lost, he was forced to carry the weight of the heavens on his shoulders. Athena was the goddess of war, handcraft, and practical reason. King Eurystheus, while not a deity, is the cousin of the hero Heracles, who issued him each of the 12 labors that he was to complete in 12 years' time. Heracles was the 3rd generation of demigod heroes and was the son of Zeus and grandson of the demigod Perseus. He also eventually reached godhood, which is rare for most demigods. In one of his myths, the 12 labors of Heracles, the goddess Hera was manipulating him into losing his sanity. Because of this, in his confused state, he murdered his wife and children. When he regained consciousness from his temporary insanity, he prayed to the god Apollo to help him. Apollo's oracle then told Heracles that in order to atone for his sins, he had to serve King Eurystheus of Tiryns and Mycenae for 12 years. All of these tasks are reflected in the metopes of the Temple of Zeus. Some of them are in ruins, so there will be a recreation of what the piece used to look like after each metope. While we will only dissect one of the metope labors, all of them in sequential order are: Number 1, kill the Nemean lion. Number 2, kill the Lernaean hydra. Number 3, capture the Ceryneian hind. Number 4, capture the Erymanthian boar. Number 5, clean the Aegean stables. Number 6, kill the Stymphalian birds. Number 7, capture the Cretan bull. Number 8, capture the horses of Diomedes. Number 9, take the girdle of the Amazon queen. Number 10, capture the cattle of Geryon. Number 11, take the golden apple of Hesperides. And finally, number 12, capture Cerberus. One of the more well-known metopes is the one representing Heracles' 11th labor, taking the golden apples of Hesperides. As the story goes, Heracles was ordered by King Eurystheus to retrieve the golden apples belonging to Zeus that were given to him as a wedding gift from Hera. The apples were protected in the Hesperidian nymph's garden by a 100-headed dragon. After going through many trials and tribulations, Prometheus gave him a tip to send Atlas, the nymph's father, to retrieve the apples. Heracles saw Atlas standing near the garden and asked the Titan if he could go fetch the apples, and in exchange, he would shoulder the weight of the heavens for him while he was gone. Atlas hated holding up the sky so much that he obliged. The metope represents the moment when Atlas came back with the apples. However, since the apples belonged to the gods, Eurystheus could not keep them, and Heracles eventually had to return them to Athena, who's featured on the left-hand side of the relief.